have been so many amazing games out this year that you probably haven't even played all the games that you're aware of and meant to play.
Yeah.
But we are not here to help, because we are going to tell you a bunch of other games that you may have missed, you definitely should play.
Yes. Brought to us by Dishonored creators Arcane, sci-fi horror Prey sees you playing as Morgan Yu, stuck in an apparent time loop before it transpires that you're actually trapped on a space station full of aliens that want to kill you. Much better. Accompanied by your AI self, January, this Bioshock-style game sees you solve a thrilling mystery as you try and find out what the hell you and your scientist brother were doing up there. Prey is really good. I've not finished it yet, but I've sunk so many hours into it, and I'm just like...
Enough to know it's great.
I really love the universe that they've built, like the world that they've built. I love the concept of the mimics. I think it's really clever. You go into a room and you're like, damn it.
Yeah, it's packed with so many great ideas. I thought it was a real shame that it didn't sell very well. It is kind of a reboot of a much older game,
well,
but
I think it's not even a reboot. It's like a complete.
Yeah,
like they just took the name and put it on something else.
Yeah,
it is, you know, the spiritual successor to Bioshock. If you love that series, go pick it up. It's really good. If you like Dishonored, pick it up. It's a bit different. It's not, you're not going around killing people. You're going around like solving puzzles and things. But it's the good kind of puzzle, and it's worth it for the spacewalking alone, in my opinion. It's done so well.
Pyre saw Supergiant Games take a sports game and make it appealing to people who prefer playing as wizards and other magical beings. This action RPG take on a genre that is often overlooked outside of big releases like FIFA proved to be an extremely fun one, winning praise from critics. If you've not had a chance to try it out, we recommend you give it a go.
So, Luke, you have played this.
The mechanics of Pyre are so brilliantly simple, and it's so much fun to play. Like all the best sports, it's just a very, very simple concept that has a lot of depth behind it. And as well as that, it's set in this fantasy world that's really interesting. It's got a really cool story. It's got a very, very interesting twist as well in the gameplay, in that you can't fail, you can't die. So if you lose a match, you don't like replay it. You just keep going through the story, but you have lost. But despite being one of the coolest sports games of the year, I think definitely one of the most unconventional, it feels a little bit like it has slipped under the radar slightly. I wonder if that is because maybe the name doesn't suggest very much what you're going to be getting.
Pyre, and I was like, oh, it's a RPG thing.
Could be.
Not realising that it's actually like
it is an RPG thing, but it's a sports thing. Really, I think it seems that they've built this incredibly good sports game. It's a shame not to use those mechanics somewhere else. So I would love Supergiant to make like an online version that maybe just did away with the story and just let you play matches, and you have something a little bit more akin to Hearthstone in a simple game that is online only, where you just play lots of quick matches, but it has a lot of depth. But it's really cool, and you should definitely check it out.
In a stellar launch year for Nintendo's Switch console, you could easily have missed ARMS, the cartoonish fighting game that shows off the improved motion controls of the Joy-Cons. A more in-depth game than previous boxing-style titles, it's still pretty easy for new players to get into and has some really fun mini-games. Well, we certainly had a lot of fun when we were playing it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And
I love this game.
It's like you said about like there's a lot of depth to each of the characters. Like they've each got their own backstory. It's a bit like Overwatch, you said.
Yeah, it's definitely not as deep as Overwatch, but I feel like if the game had taken off a little bit more, then it really could be. It feels like exactly the kind of game that fans could really take hold of. It's just built for making fan art and like fan fiction about. If I had to guess at maybe why this game wasn't so successful in a year of incredible success for the Switch. Maybe it's because of Splatoon 2, because it came out quite close to Splatoon 2. It was like
Splatoon 2 is the other online, because there's a little bit of online component, and then you've got Mario Kart, which is the other co-op game that people might bring around.
Other games at that time that scratched that competitive online itch and have that same cartoony style. And possibly the other thing as well, I wonder if maybe people looked at the motion controls and just thought, this is Wii boxing.
Yeah.
You know, again.
But it's not,
and it's so much fun to play. And when you get used to it, it's not a flaily game.
You end up being like.
It could pick up. It might be that maybe if there are fewer great games out on the Switch next year, then people go back and look at some of the things that are already on shop shelves. But fingers crossed, because ARMS is ace.
Yes.
The Sexy Brutale is an isometric puzzle game in which you mess with the flow of time to solve and prevent murders. With unique gameplay and a gorgeous art style, it's one that our inner goth has a real soft spot for. You know who has a real inner goth, Ellen?
I'm wondering who on the team is the person with the most inner goth.
Who could it be?
Who could it be?
Could be someone in this very room.
Ooh.
Could be someone listening right now. Could be
someone who's busy editing and is ignoring us.
Could be someone who has headphones in this very room. You love the Sexy Brutale, don't you, Andy?
Well, I haven't played a lot of it. I played the start of it, and I really want to play more of it because it's good.
Yeah.
Why is it good?
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Did you ever play Ghost Trick?
Yeah.
It reminds me of Ghost Trick. So
Ghost Trick.
Time is on like a loop, and you need to stop people from dying by sort of changing things around the level to prevent their deaths. So it's like a puzzle game where you've got to figure out how people are dying and then prevent it by sort of fast forwarding and rewinding time and changing things.
Yeah.
And obviously the aesthetic is really cool.
Do you feel like it was slightly underappreciated this year?
Yeah, I think, well, it's kind of quite a small game, so I don't think as many people maybe played it as should have done, but it's coming out on the Switch, or it is out on the Switch.
I can see myself on bus and train journeys, solving murders and doing it in time
And
travel.
also playing Sexy Brutale.
Well, yeah. Don't mention the side job. As one of the most anticipated games of 2017, Wolfenstein 2 didn't fly too far under the radar, but you could well have missed it because it did come out on a day where two other huge titles were released. Taking place in an alternate timeline where the Nazis won World War II, we run around 1960s America as BJ Blazkowicz with all the ridiculous violence that entails. So same day as Mario Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Origins, two games that we were like really looking forward to as well, respectively. And it's just like it's a bit like how like Rise of the Tomb Raider came out on Fallout 4 day. Like lots of people were like, new Tomb Raider, and then it was like, oh, Fallout 4 day.
I'll get to that when I finish Fallout 4, which is, well, never. I guess people still haven't finished Fallout 4.
I think the Wolfenstein team like did an amazing job marketing wise as well. There was a lot of like funny stuff online from them, and it's a good game.
The cutscenes are so well written, and the characters are so interesting and so immediately likable, and it just has a lot more warmth than you would expect from a game called Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus.
Like Nazis and robots.
Exactly. It was surprising to me, and a pleasant surprise, that the game has a great story and it has a lot of heart.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the thing that I've heard about it, is it's got a lot of heart and not just like spilling out onto the floor.
Oh, yeah. You see a lot of heart. This year saw plenty of brilliant story-driven indie games, but one you might have missed in the confusion was Night in the Woods. The 2D cutout visuals belie a surprisingly deep and nuanced narrative about May the cat, who arrives back in the town she grew up in after dropping out of college. Nothing about this game, when you first look at it, suggests the kind of experience that you're going to ultimately get playing it. It's such a surprising game. It looks very basic. All you can do is sort of run from side to side and jump and interact with stuff, and it looks very cutesy, but it's got a real edge to it. There's a real...
Lots of edges because it's 2D.
Lots of edges because it's 2D. It's basically just a whole edge. There's no voice acting, so it's sort of all text, which means that a lot of work has been put into how the text looks on screen. At the beginning, you don't really know why she's dropped out of college. She's back in her hometown, and she's meeting up with all of her old friends who she sort of moved on from when she left town, and now she's back, and some of them are really happy to see her, and some of them have moved on themselves. One thing that I really love about it is the way that it handles internet messaging chat. In the game, you do a lot of chat with the other animals who are your friends. It feels very authentic, even though it's about a cartoon cat. And I love it. It's
it
so
looks
good.
really charming, and it's been really such a delight to go to like conventions and see so many people cosplaying the characters.
Yeah,
really inventive.
They're quite really tricky to cosplay, So kudos if you gave that a go.
NieR Automata follows the story of Android 2B and her buddy 9S as they explore the Earth, trying to find out what the hell happened to all the people and to fight loads of robots. With brilliantly OTT combat and some truly beautifully surreal moments, it's a game that, despite selling well for creators Platinum Games, we think more people should try. It's like a spiritual successor to Bayonetta from the same creators, and for some reason they decided to set it in the universe of NieR, which no one knows.
I don't know, yeah.
You don't have to have played the other games in the NieR series to enjoy it.
No.
But if anything, it would make it more confusing.
Yeah, I think it might help if you haven't played any of the other games, because they're all so weird. It's this huge sprawling RPG, and then when you finally finish it, you start again, and the game is completely different the second time round, and again and again, and like you play through and play through and play through, and every time it changes, and every time you learn more, and you're basically a very, very long way from like getting the true ending of the game. So if you're looking for something to sink a lot of time into, if you're looking for in terms of like value for money, like entertainment hours, this is the one.
Because I think the combat is enjoyable enough that you're like, I could beat up a few more things. And also there are just some moments throughout the game, like peppered throughout the game, that are just, they blow you away. One of my favourites is when you're in the fairground. I won't say anything to ruin too much about it, but you come across this fairground, and it is one of my favourite moments in video games this year, I think, because it was just so beautifully surreal. It was great. So weird, I love it.
Another Japanese game, Yakuza 0, follows the story of Kazuma Kiryu and Goro Majima as they investigate the empty lot dispute, each armed with 3 of their own unique fighting styles, which can be swapped out in the middle of battles, and a ridiculous number of random side activities. Yakuza 0 gives you a lot to play with.
Yakuza is a much beloved franchise by its fans.
I don't think it's very widely loved, but those who know
it,
they know.
They love it. And Yakuza 0 is like a prequel, so you're learning about these characters that you kind of know their stories further down the line if you've played the other games. But also, it's a good jumping in point for people if you've never played the series.
Yeah, because it's a prequel.
It's an origin story. Yeah. And I think like there's an amazing world that you can like run around and do all sorts of weird side activities, like go on dinners. And like you get like there's an achievement I think for if you eat a different dinner in every restaurant or something like that. There's a lot of weird side things. I think this is another one of those games that has fishing in it for some reason, and like one of the craziest things is like the 3 brawler style fighting types. So the 2 heroes each have 3 styles that they can switch between, and you end up like hitting people with bikes and stuff. Very 80s as well, because it's set the year I was born, which makes me feel old. Fans of the Yakuza series are very pleased with this one, and this one is a game that came out in Japan ages ago and is finally here. So people have been waiting on it for a while, and the people who've been waiting for it are very pleased, and that's usually a very, very good sign.
So, Ellen, of all the games we've listed, which is the one, if you could only play one, which would it be? If these people watching are like, I'm not going to play all them, do you have any idea how busy I am? Ellen, do you know how busy these people are? They don't have time. Pick one. Is there one that edges it?
Well, my thing is, if you want puzzles, Prey. If you want combat, NieR Automata.
That's fair. I'll go for...
What's yours?
Well, I'll go for Night in the Woods overall, I think, because
That's the one that you won't shut up about.
It's the one that I won't shut up about, but that like other people haven't played, so I'm like, don't you play Night in the Woods? And they're like, no, Luke, I'm very busy.
Luke's the person that you come to with an indie game, go, yeah, start playing this, and he's like, tell me when you get to the end. And I'm like, okay, well now something's going to happen.
Have to talk. Yeah, it's been such a good year for indie games.
So good.
Yeah, I think Night in the Woods is absolutely just one of the best ones. So if you haven't played it, then do. And also ARMS. Okay, thank you for watching, guys. I'm sure if you've watched this that right now there is a game in your mind that we have not mentioned that you think deserved more love than it got in 2017. So let us know what it is. Where, Ellen? In the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this, then there's a whole YouTube channel that you're on right now where we basically just talk about games all the time. It's exhausting. And you can subscribe, and then you get lots more of it. So
lots more of our faces in your faces, telling you about video games.
Right up in your face.
Yeah.
Up in your grill. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.